Imagine you are sitting on a night train. You are just completely exhausted, the carriage is mostly empty, and you were just staring out the window into the dark.
Oh, yeah. I've been there. Just totally zoned out.
Right. And then a stranger sits down right across from you.
Okay, a little weird if the train is empty, but sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they do not introduce themselves. They just look at you, and very quietly, they state your full name.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no thank you.
And it gets worse. Then they name the exact street you grew up on, and then they state your late father's name.
That is terrifying.
Right. Like, how would you react? If you're listening to this, do you run? Do you just sit there and listen?
I mean, I would probably freeze.
Same. But that chilling scenario, it isn't just a standard thriller trope. It is actually the opening hook of a really fascinating set of source materials we are doing a deep dive into today.
Yeah, and the context of these sources is, it's super unique.
It really is. We are looking at the scripts for a 5-part serial narrative, but it's designed specifically for English learners.
Right.
And the mission of this deep dive is to unpack how this narrative engine actually works. Like, we're going to look at how a story uses intricate world building, high-stakes mystery, and profound themes of memory to actually teach complex language concepts.
Instead of just, handing a student a boring list of vocabulary words to memorize.
Exactly.
And the structure of these scripts is what makes them so compelling to analyze, I think, because when you are learning a language or trying to absorb any complex new information, really, your brain naturally resists raw data.
Oh, totally. Flashcards only get you so far.
Right. A list of prepositions or conditional verbs is easily forgotten, but if you attach those same linguistic mechanics to a life or death survival scenario.
The stakes go up.
Exactly. Suddenly the retention rate just skyrockets.
Yeah.
So we are looking at this narrative about two ordinary people, Alex and Sarah, who are just suddenly thrust into a secret world.
And by analyzing the dialogue and the pacing, we can see exactly how suspense is literally weaponized for education.
It's brilliant.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with that intensely creepy train ride.
Right.
So Sarah and Alex are approached by this mysterious character, literally just called the Stranger.
Right.
And the dialogue here is incredibly deliberate. The Stranger does not just broadly hint that he knows them. He tells Sarah that she found a hidden map tucked inside a book about mountain exploration at the city library.
Uh-huh.
And then he specifies exactly where the book was. He says, the third shelf on the left side.
Which is a brilliant way to force the listener to mentally construct a spatial layout.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because the script is teaching prepositions of place, right?
Oh.
Words like on, in, inside, left side.
Yeah.
But it masks the lesson behind this terrifying realization for the characters.
Because the only way he could know the exact shelf is if he planted it there.
Exactly. He explains he needed to know if the first of 7 hidden cities, this place called Mira, was still intact.
Right.
And he could not go himself, so he left the map to find 2 people with the right hearts.
So he leaves them an envelope, which reveals that these 7 cities are scattered across 7 continents, built by an ancient civilization.
Classic adventure setup.
Totally. And he officially names Alex and Sarah as the guardians of Mira, but it is the postscript on his letter that truly escalates the psychological tension.
Oh, the postscript is so unsettling.
It really is. It's this tiny note telling them to go to the house at the end of their street, to room 7, and look under the floorboard because a boy named Thomas left something for them.
Which just implies this profound violation of their personal lives.
Yes. I was thinking about this train encounter in the context of modern surveillance.
Oh, yeah.
We are completely used to digital algorithms knowing our habits. Like, you search for shoes, you get shoe ads.
Right, it's normal now.
But having a physical human being sit across from you and recite your personal biography.
Yeah, that's different.
It moves the surveillance from the digital realm into the physical one. It implies a physical presence in your life that you are completely unaware of.
I mean, it shatters the illusion of the protagonist's safety, right, which in turn spikes the adrenaline of the listener.
Wow, yeah.
And when adrenaline is high, the brain is primed to encode memories. The narrative takes advantage of this exact state to introduce the next impossible scenario.
The phone call.
Yes. Sarah receives a phone call late at night, and the voice on the other end is her own voice.
So creepy.
Distorted, but unmistakably her calling from the future.
A wrong future, as the script calls it. And the voice gives her these hyper-specific instructions.
Right.
It tells her not to take the elevator at work the next day. It tells her to find Alex's grandfather's blue notebook in the 3rd drawer, left side.
More prepositions.
Exactly. And it tells her to question the librarian, Mr. Lee, about November 14th, 1962.
That's a lot to process.
It is. And I have to push back on this plot device for a second.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you get a call from your future self, do you actually follow the instructions blindly? Or do you question if it's a trap?
That's a fair point.
To me, it feels a little like a writer forcing the plot forward. Is this smart character design, or just a convenient way to hand the protagonists a to-do list?
It is a fair critique, for sure. Functionally, it is absolutely a narrative shortcut to get them to the next plot point.
Right.
But linguistically, it serves a very specific pedagogical purpose.
Okay, how so?
What's fascinating here is how the narrative uses this impossible phone call to drill conditional grammar.
Oh.
Yeah. The future self speaks almost entirely in if-and-then statements. If you take the elevator, the cable will break. If you do not find the blue notebook, you will not survive.
Ah, I see. It forces the listener to process cause and effect.
Exactly. And structurally, it forces a bridge between generational secrets.
Right.
Sarah has asked Alex about this blue notebook, which reveals that Alex's grandfather was also a guardian.
Right. He spent his whole life protecting these secrets.
Exactly.
So through this notebook, the past reaches out to guide the present, just as Sarah's future self reached back to warn her.
It's very cyclical.
That is a clever framing device. But, finding out you are a guardian of ancient cities is really only half the equation.
Right. Every protagonist needs an antagonist.
Exactly. You have to be guarding them from someone. So the narrative introduces the Hollow Men.
A great name for villains, by the way.
Such a great name. And they are a group that has been hunting for these cities for 200 years to exploit them, not protect them.
Right.
And the way the Hollow Men strike is a massive shift in the genre of the story. Like, they do not use magic. They use the legal system.
Yes.
They frame Alex for a bank robbery at exactly 11:45 p.m.
The transition from a supernatural mystery to a tight procedural crime thriller is abrupt, but it's very intentional.
Right, because suddenly the police show up with security footage of a man wearing Alex's exact gray jacket.
And they have Alex's actual fingerprints from the bank door.
Which is wild.
It is. But this shifts the vocabulary being introduced from abstract, atmospheric words to highly concrete legal and procedural language.
Words like alibis, GPS locations, physical evidence.
Exactly.
So Sarah has to step up and do this detail-oriented detective work to clear his name.
She really shines here.
She does. She establishes that Alex ordered food on his phone at 11:30 p.m., giving them a GPS alibi at his apartment, because the bank is 20 minutes away, which breaks the timeline.
Right.
Then she demands to see the full security video, and she notices the suspect pushes the door with his left hand while Alex is right-handed.
Classic detective move.
And then she even catches a single frame in the video where the light hits the suspect's neck, revealing a 4-centimeter curved scar.
Uh-huh.
Now, I have to call a timeout here, though.
Oh, boy.
Catching a single frame of a specific 4-centimeter scar on a grainy security tape, that is some serious plot armor. It feels incredibly convenient.
I mean, it is undeniably convenient from a purely critical narrative standpoint. Real police work rarely hinges on a perfectly lit frame of a hidden scar.
Right, exactly.
However, if we view this through the lens of language acquisition, the writer is forcing the learner to engage with physical descriptions and measurements.
Oh.
The story needs the listener to visualize and differentiate between right-handed, left-handed, and curved scar.
Okay, fair enough. The vocabulary lesson gets a pass.
Thank you.
But the fingerprint aspect is genuinely clever. Sarah remembers a detail from 2 weeks prior at an art exhibition.
Oh, I loved this part.
Alex's glass slipped, and a well-dressed man caught it, pressed his bare hand firmly against the glass, handed it back, and just walked away.
Such a smooth move.
That is how they lifted his prints.
Yeah.
It is all misdirection and stolen props. It's like a high-end magic trick.
It really is.
Which makes me wonder, are the Hollow Men actually outsmarting our heroes? Or are they just acting as a forcing function? Like, are they just pushing the Guardians to move faster than they wanted to?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is definitely the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hollow Men's trap actually backfires because it accelerates the Guardian's timeline. It forces Sarah to confront the librarian, Mr. Lee, using the date her future self gave her.
November 14th, 1962.
Exactly. And when confronted with that date, Mr. Lee's entire demeanor just changes. He reveals that he is the oldest active Guardian.
He's just been hiding in the library ever since he failed to save a family in that haunted house back in 1962.
Right. He has literally just been watching and waiting for decades for the right people to show up.
And because the Hollow Men are closing in, Mr. Lee gives them the key to the second city.
Which is huge.
They figure out the second city is beneath the water, but they can only enter at low tide during a full moon, which creates this intense ticking clock of 11 days.
A great tension-building device.
Absolutely. So they have the key, they have the deadline, and then the story throws a massive emotional curveball.
Oh, yeah.
Sarah wakes up in a hospital with complete amnesia.
Boom.
Now, I have to be honest here. Amnesia is usually the cheapest trick in a writer's playbook.
It really
It
is.
usually feels like a soap opera crutch. So why does it actually work here instead of feeling like lazy writing?
Well, it works because it fundamentally shifts the narrative stakes from external survival to internal identity.
Okay, explain that.
And linguistically, it moves the curriculum from external action verbs to internal emotional states. Sarah does not know her own name. She does not know she likes terrible coffee.
Right, all those facts are gone.
She does not know Alex. The narrative is doing something highly sophisticated here with the mechanics of human memory. It separates semantic memory,
Which is why.
the factual data of your life, like your address or your history. It separates that from procedural and emotional memory.
Wow, okay, so even though she doesn't know him, Alex visits every single day.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
He brings her a favorite book about a hidden valley. And inside, Sarah finds a note she wrote in her own handwriting about a mountain path.
It is a physical anchor to a self she cannot remember.
But to your point about procedural memory, she doesn't just read the note and magically get her memory back.
No, she doesn't.
Instead, she wakes up early one morning and subconsciously draws the map to the second city, complete with the ancient symbols from the blue notebook.
Which is just wild.
And she realizes they only have 3 days until the full moon.
Think of it like the muscle memory of a seasoned musician.
Oh, I like that.
Right. A pianist might suffer a brain injury and completely forget how to read sheet music. But if you sit them in front of a keyboard, their hands still know how to play the sonata.
Wow.
Sarah's factual context is gone, but her sense of purpose overrides that void. She feels the urgency, and she feels an absolute instinctive trust in Alex, even without the historical data to justify it.
I love that analogy of the musician. It is as if the semantic facts of her life were uninstalled, like wiping a computer's hard drive. But her core operating system, her bravery, her curiosity, her drive that remains completely untouched.
Exactly.
Is this story arguing that our purpose is a biological instinct rather than a learned memory?
It strongly suggests that true character runs much deeper than mere experience.
Mhm.
Our memories shape our daily context, sure, but our core traits, how we react to the unknown, who we instinctively trust when stripped of our defenses, those are foundational. Sarah does not need to remember the definition of the word guardian to instinctively act like one. The calling is woven into who she is.
So if you are listening to this, I want you to think about how your own memory works for a second.
It's a trippy thought.
It is. If you woke up tomorrow and forgot every factual detail about your life, your job, your history, your daily routines, what core trait of yours would still shine through?
Mm-hmm.
Would you still be the person who naturally takes charge of a situation? Would you still be the person who runs toward a mystery instead of running away from it?
That's the real test.
Because that is exactly what Sarah does. Without her memories, driven entirely by this unbreakable procedural sense of purpose, she and Alex head to the beach at the lowest tide of the full moon.
And they step directly into the dark ocean.
It gives me chills.
And this is where the world building truly shines as a descriptive teaching tool.
Oh, the imagery here is amazing.
Beneath the water, they discover Thessia, the second city, and the script uses intensely vivid language here to describe their descent. They walk down ancient stone steps into the ocean, but they are surrounded by an air pocket. The technology provides a breathable atmosphere for them because, as the notebook prophesied, they enter the space in good faith.
The visual descriptions are incredible. The city isn't powered by electricity. It is glowing with bioluminescence.
Yes.
It is completely lit up by living organisms. And the architecture isn't just a collection of old crumbling ruins.
Not at all.
The script describes the buildings as highly aerodynamic, specifically shaped to let the heavy ocean currents flow entirely through them rather than fighting the water pressure.
which demonstrates incredible foresight by the ancient civilization that built it. They knew the city would eventually be submerged, and they designed the structural integrity to survive that inevitability.
Wow.
It is architecture as prophecy. And from a learning perspective, tying a complex compound noun like bioluminescence or a concept like aerodynamics to a magical underwater discovery ensures the learner visualizes the concept deeply. So smart. So in the center of Thessia, they find a vast circular room with a massive glowing blue column of light.
The heart of the city.
It is the heart of the city. And a message waits for them there, acknowledging that they now carry 3 keys: the map, the notebook, and the tide key.
Right.
But the message also explicitly warns them that the Hollow are now hunting them in earnest. The invisible game of shadows is completely over.
But the narrative balances that terrifying warning with a profound reward.
What's that?
The message promises that as they unlock these cities, knowledge passes to them. Knowledge the Holomen can never forcefully take.
Ah.
The glowing column then projects holograms of the other 5 hidden cities around the world, revealing other people. Other guardian pairs exist.
They realize they are not alone in this fight. They are part of a massive global network.
Exactly.
Finally, the blue light physically burns a new symbol into their key, revealing that the 3rd city awaits in fire beneath a dormant volcano.
Just a casual dormant volcano. Because of course it does. A dormant volcano? No big deal. Looking at the mechanics of Thessia, I cannot help but compare it to a highly advanced smart home.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Right. It does not feel like an ancient ruin. It feels like a system that has been patiently waiting on standby for its designated owners to return. It turns on the bioluminescent lights, it adjusts the climate so they can breathe. So what does this all mean? Are the cities themselves sentient?
This raises an important question about the boundaries of ancient technology within this universe.
Yeah.
If the city's architecture can actively detect good faith and selectively provide an air pocket based on that moral judgment, it implies a level of consciousness.
Right.
Or, at the very least, a highly sophisticated ethical algorithm programmed into the stone itself.
Which is wild.
It is. And it forces us to consider a massive hypothetical. What would happen if the Hollow Men actually managed to reach the steps of Thessia?
Oh, wow.
Would the city's algorithm recognize their bad faith? Would the air pocket collapse and let the water rush in?
Just drown them instantly.
Exactly. The architecture itself might be the ultimate defense mechanism, rendering the Guardians entirely unnecessary as physical protectors.
Wow. If the city judges your character at the door, the Hollow Men might not even need Alex and Sarah to stop them. The city might drown them all on its own.
Yeah, they might just be couriers for the keys rather than soldiers.
That fundamentally changes how we view the role of the Guardians. This has been an incredibly layered deep dive into these source materials.
It really has.
We've traced the architecture of a story that uses suspense to teach language. We started with the psychological intrusion of a stranger on a night train, dissecting how hyper-specific details force a listener to pay attention.
Right.
We explored a criminal frame job that cleverly pivots the vocabulary from the supernatural to the procedural.
And then we analyzed the emotional mechanics of amnesia, stripping away semantic facts to reveal the procedural resilience of a character's core identity.
And finally, we explored the descriptive world building of a glowing underwater marvel that literally breathes alongside its guests.
Through all of these linguistic and narrative layers, the recurring theme is undeniable resilience.
Yes.
The decision to keep moving forward even when all the empirical evidence tells you to stop.
The deep dive reveals that true courage isn't the absence of fear, nor is it the possession of perfect memory. It is the raw, instinctual decision to step into the dark ocean without even knowing your own name.
It is a powerful narrative framework that teaches far more than just English grammar. It teaches the vocabulary of survival and purpose.
Beautifully said. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to mull over.
Okay, lay it on us.
The message in the underwater city of Thessia stated that as the Guardians unlock each door, knowledge passes to you. Knowledge the Hollow Men can never take.
Right.
But if these ancient, ethically algorithmic cities are downloading centuries of hidden, profound knowledge directly into the minds of the Guardians, are Alex and Sarah still going to be the same human beings by the time they reach the 7th and final door?
Oh.
Or is the architecture of their own minds being fundamentally rewritten by the data, just like the aerodynamic stone of the city itself? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your curiosity alive, and we will catch you next time.